Hey, welcome back in my kitchen. Speaking of flavor or flavors, let's look a bit at salt and saltiness and healthier or more sensible ways of getting something salty. Now, for starters, look at the type of salt you're using. So, in fact, I have a type up here I forgot to bring down. Let's see if I can catch it without... There we go. So, for starters, if you're going to use salt, make sure you either use rock salt of some type or sea salt. So here there's rock salt, here's one type of sea salt, there's another type of sea salt here. Here I actually have a bit of salt from the Himalayas. As you can see, it has some color. So all these natural unbleached salts that haven't been purified have several advantages. First off, they contain more than just sodium chloride. And that actually means that their flavor becomes broader or wider, whatever you want to call it. And hence you don't have to use as much, because sodium chloride, if you just add that, you actually need quite large amounts to satisfy your salt for your longing for saltiness. But if you use some of these unrefined, more natural salts, the flavor is wider, broader, whatever you want to call it, and hence you can get away with using less and still have the same experience of flavor. Also, remember, depending on where in the world you look, but in most industrialized societies, we can probably assume that 75% of the sodium chloride we eat has been added to our food before we put the food on the table. So rather than taking away your table salt or things that salty flavor at the table, you might be better off not buying any pre-made foods, using a bit less salt in the cooking process, and then still use a bit of salt on your food at the table to get flavor if you really crave it. So of course, straight salt is one possibility. There are other things as well. If we venture towards the Far East, Japanese kitchen, Thai, Chinese kitchen, of course you can get soy sauce, or this is the real stuff called Tamari. Now, real soy sauce is made by taking soybeans, steaming them, and then you crush them, turn them with sea salt and koji. And koji is actually a mold used in food production, not one of the dangerous ones like what you'll get in a moldy house that will make you sick. And you then take these soybeans that have been covered with koji and sea salt, you put them in large bowls or in large tubs with water, and they're left to ferment from everywhere from 3 months until 3 years. And the liquid you have on top is the tamari, which is the real soy sauce. That also means in terms of soy and some of the anti-nutrients in there, a lot of them have been removed by the fermentation process. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And then what you get on the bottom is actually the miso. So miso paste that you use for miso soup is what you get on the bottom. So that's actually all the solids left from the soybeans. So tamari and miso would both be better ways of adding saltiness to your food. Also because they have other flavors in addition to the saltiness. So both of them have umami, the natural flavor enhancer, and both of them also have a bit of acidity or sourness, and maybe also just a hint of pungent flavor. So they will actually enhance flavor more. So that's one possibility. Also remember, seaweed actually tastes salty. So here's nori. So another thing you could consider with your food is actually to take nori and cut it into thin strips or crumble it into flakes and add those to your food, or even grind it up and have a sort of nori sprinkles, or as a type of nori sprinkles to put on your food. So that would help you. And then there's fish sauce, which I've kept in the bottle because it smells quite strong. And fish sauce is essentially fermented fish. So you take little fish the size of anchovies and then stick them in water with a bit of salt, maybe a bit of sugar, and leave it to ferment, and the liquid you have on top is fish sauce. So that also has some saltiness to it and umami. With fish sauce you want to use very small amounts, but that will actually help you enhance the flavor. And here's ume paste, also a Japanese specialty. So Japanese ume plums that have been pickled with salt and shiso leaves and vinegar, and then once they're pickled, you make this paste out of them. That tastes salty but also has a bit of umami and it's a bit sour. So that would be a possibility. The other consideration, of course, is to go to the Mediterranean. So olives, capers, because they're cured with salt, they also have a salty flavor, and again, both of them also taste umami. So if you use a bit of those in your food, that could give you a bit of saltiness and enhance the general flavor and get you more of those 7 basic flavors that are necessary to make you feel satisfied, at least from a flavor point of view. Or use a bit of true feta cheese. So true feta cheese, of course, is made from goat's milk or sheep's milk or a mixture, not cow's milk. So that could also add a bit of saltiness if you crumble that into your food. And finally, what I have here is a bit of vegetable stock, not liquid stock, but like solid stock or bouillon, which also is usually quite salty. So actually, if you take maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of this and stir it into a dressing or a marinade, that will get you a salty flavor as well, to get that salty flavor into your food that you must have and you probably will crave. But if you use some of these methods, as opposed to just eating lots of prefabricated foods that have been doused with massive amounts of sodium chloride, not to mention that the refined table salt we use usually has aluminum hydroxide in it as a flow agent and anti-caking agent. And aluminum, of course, is a heavy metal, so that's not very sensible to add to your food. But if you use some of these methods instead, you'll get saltiness into your food in a more natural way, and that means you can satisfy your salt tooth without doing as much damage to your body. And then, of course, remember to eat lots and lots and lots of greens, lots of almonds and nuts, so you get massive amounts of potassium to balance out the sodium and the chloride. Bon appetit!